Hello and welcome to another episode of Bad Pitch Energy. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Robyn.
Hey, Tom. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I think it was a busy week again for both of us.
But it was a good week.
It was a
Lots to
good
look
week.
forward to.
Lots to look forward to.
Yes.
Super excited for this evening.
Spring is here in Houston, Texas, which
Mhm.
means it's feeling like 90 degrees and you
Mhm.
are soaking wet within 30 seconds of being outside. So that's always great. But we are deep into, I guess, pre-baseball season, if you will, in terms of
Mhm.
WBC and tournaments happening. And we have another exciting day coming up for you
Right.
and I today.
Yeah, we're going to go watch the U.S. team take on Great Britain in a couple hours.
Yeah.
But we did go to the College Baseball Classic last weekend. It was interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
I think it really hit us because when we were sitting there, I went, Tom, these kids are younger than my sister.
Yeah.
And that was like one of those like, what the fuck, we're old moments.
Yeah. It was like, because they have the date of birth
Right?
and like where they're from
Mm-hmm.
on the scoreboard. And I was like, man,
No, they're like so many freshmen
oh, like, you were
playing.
born in 2005? What?
So many freshmen playing. I'm like,
2006.
way
Wild.
too young.
What we also noticed as we were sitting there, and I would say we maybe got to the game a little too early.
Potentially.
That's fine. Um, but the pace of play,
Yes.
it really made me like, I want to formally apologize to Rob Manfred
To the pitch clock.
and to the pitch clock because, man, I forgot that baseball games used to be that slow.
Yes.
And they have a pitch clock in college baseball, but there was just something about the pace of play
Mhm.
that felt so long and drawn out. And I do realize maybe part of it was like, I don't really know any of these players.
Right.
It was a Baylor UT game. The UT fans were doing
Right.
their
They're all having fun. They're doing their little
throwing up their
chants.
gang signs or whatever
But
it was.
I think it was just one of those things where we didn't know anyone.
Yeah. But it was
They also were doing so many mound visits. I could just it reached a point where I think they're doing like a mound visit after each play.
it was a little bit much.
So we were just like,
We tapped out after like 3.5 hours, and the game was
Let's
the
do
seventh inning.
something.
I was like, we're leaving. So, but we also, we're looking forward to last weekend, of course, to see baseball again, but all to see the food, the new food at Daikin, and what a letdown it was.
Such a letdown. We didn't find the banh mi dog or the
Not there
brisket
yet.
donuts.
Not there yet.
Maybe they'll be there tonight. I don't think
they'll be there tonight.
I don't think they'll be there till after the WBC, but you had a fun experience with the food you bought.
Yeah, so there was this hot dog that came out last season that I was looking forward to trying but never did.
Right.
And when I go to Daikin, I tend to drink my meals and not eat my meals.
Right.
Just probably not a good thing. But I got the Mac Daddy dog, right? Which, okay, mac and cheese on a hot dog with brisket and barbecue sauce and onions.
For a Texan, that sounds incredible.
That sounds right up my alley. That is why I moved to Texas. Okay.
Exactly.
So I get my my hot dog, and you join me a little bit later at the seats. And I look at this and I'm like, this is dry as hell. And I'm looking, I was like, there should be some barbecue sauce or something on there, right? So I go back to just like ask for a cup of barbecue sauce. And they're like, oh, we don't have any. I was like, oh, I'm like, do you think I could go down to like another stand and just ask? And they're like, sure, you could try. So I go and they say, yeah, we don't have any barbecue sauce in the entire stadium, which was wild to me.
That is so foul. Especially since we are known specifically for our barbecue.
Correct.
That is so foul that there's not a drop of barbecue sauce in the building.
It was nasty. It was nasty. So granted, thankfully I grew up on eating mac and cheese mixed with ketchup.
Oh.
That was like always like the thing me and my cousins would do. Now my niece does it. It's just so funny. But it was all right. It was dry. It was still dry. Even with the ketchup, it was just like not so great. But perhaps the worst possible moment.
We were surprised by something even more foul.
This, to me, I don't want to be dramatic and say this is life altering, but I think it's life altering. The El Tiempo margarita has increased by another $5.
That's insane. They are literally $25.25 now.
Before tax.
Before tax.
And tip.
for tax and tip. And I'm also someone who likes to add a flavor shot because I was like either a
Right.
strawberry, sometimes maybe mango.
Right.
That's another $2.
Yep.
So you're expecting me to play 30
Yeah,
plus
pretty much.
per drink.
Pretty much, which is why we skipped this in the intro about drink of the week, not sponsored. We've got our Cutwater mango margaritas. Solid choice always. A lot of their Mai Tai is really good.
Yes.
They have a very good Mai Tai.
Mhm.
Yeah, but needless to say, did I have a margarita last week? Yes. But I just had one. And even worse, Robyn, it was weak.
Yes.
It was weak.
Yes.
Now, for research purposes, I may tonight be testing it again,
Right.
just for pure research.
Right.
But you're telling me, now, at the start of last season, it was $15.
Yes. It's $15.99.
$15.99, which is a deal because of
Right.
how strong they were. And
Right.
so great, you know. Then it was like a month and a half into the season, they jacked up the prices to, I think it was $20.99.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, they said it was gaining popularity.
They
and
wanted to curb the
they wanted to curb
drug people.
But here's also the thing, and I'm sure they're going to rationalize this additional price hike with, oh, well, you know, it still didn't work, so we're trying to curb even more people from buying.
Right.
That's just not going to work. People will
want to drink.
If you are inebriated, you're going to pay $45. You don't care because you're just swiping.
Right.
And so it just feels, this got a big reaction on Twitter. I think
It did. It was the most popular tweet.
it was,
actually.
as of now, 114,000 views. We just posted a picture of the updated pricing, and people had a lot of opinions.
Right.
And it was interesting. It was like people who were very happy about this were like, good, I want less drunk people at the game. A good sizable amount of folks were like, this is terrible. Like, this is
worse. Please tell me this is AI.
You're right. Right. And so, yeah, I mean, that was a shock, and that's a little bit of a disappointment. All that to say, it was great to be back.
Yes.
In a major league stadium watching a game. I'm even more excited for tonight because we have some of the best players in the world playing on Team USA. No offense to Team Great Britain, but
I mean, when your best player is Jazz Chisholm,
we may be looking at
may be a little stacked on it.
Yeah, this is going to be a very expedited version of the Revolutionary War tonight, in my opinion. So,
but still, I'm hopeful. We did have a bad food experience last week, but I am hopeful the food this time around will be better because the WBC is doing something called a food passport.
Yes,
where you get a little passport and I think if you get an item from each country that's playing, because they are providing food from each culture that's playing in the WBC. I think if you get a sticker for each country, you get a special prize or something.
Oh, there's Sage making her
debut appearance.
Weekly appearance.
Oh.
Baby.
So angry.
Yeah, that's going to be, I'm really excited about
So there's going to be fish and chips in honor of Great Britain. Italy has the apple spritz tonight as their drink.
Yeah.
And they have a cannoli chocolate chip ice cream in a cup.
That does look good.
And one of those like hat cups that I'm really excited about. Can I just do a little quick sidebar?
Yes.
Since we're talking about Italian food.
Sure.
I think this is one of my hottest takes I may have. Let me preface this by saying I've been to Italy twice. I love Italy. Beautiful people, beautiful culture. Their food is straight trash. I think American Italian food is thousands of times better than Italian food. Because for some reason, I don't think they believe in using salt. I don't think they believe in using pepper. Apparently, they don't cook with garlic. They don't cook with onions. They want to preserve the flavor of the whatever. There's no flavor. There is no flavor. I remember my friends and I on our last night in Rome, we found a shawarma shop. I went to the counter and went, sir, I need you to add all the spicy sauce on to my shawarma because I needed to go burn going in. I needed to burn coming out. Like if it don't make my breath stink, I don't want it. So that's my hot take.
I remember you live texting this, or was it another story where you asked for Didn't she go and ask for, like, red pepper or
Yes,
something?
yes. We were at a pizza shop and we're like, "Hey, do you guys have like the red pepper flakes?" They looked at us like we were like we were stupid, and they go to the back and you can even see them fumbling around. They come back with like a little thing of black pepper. We're like, "Okay, so this is the
This is quite possibly one of my favorite Robin hot takes. I think because I was getting the, live text experience as
mhm."
this was happening in real time, and then I went to Italy about a month and a half, 2
'Cause
months
you're like,
after.
"Oh, this can't be
I was
real.
like, "No."
No
And then I'm
way."
there and I'm like, listen, some of the food, good. There is
Their steak,
something.
the Florentine steak
Yes,
is incredible.
yes.
Chef's kiss,
There's something to be said for simplicity,
right?
but by the end of that trip, I had a little hankering for sodium because I was like, "Man, where the hell is the salt?" And I do not like a saltiness and food, but I was just missing some.
No, like, the thing is, like, I don't need there to be, like, tens of thousands of spices and food,
Right,
right?
right.
Just simple salt and pepper can
Mhm.
go take a dish so far,
True.
and the fact that they want to skimp on salt and pepper,
Yeah,
come on.
I know, I know. Maybe Kyle Tucker was in the kitchen in Italy.
Maybe because clearly he has no seasoning left on him. Alright, that was my sidebar hot take.
Much appreciated, Robin.
But, WBC is coming up. We're
Yes.
going to see United States versus Great Britain.
Mhm.
Um Last night, actually, a 17-year-old,
Yeah.
struck out, um, Aaron Judge, like,
Yeah.
and, oh, what was it? Double late bases loaded, double play. That's
How
just
cool is
how
that?
cool is that?
Like, that kid, because that's what he is still,
Mhm,
right? Like, may never play baseball ever again after this
right?
tournament, or just might play, like, casually, but that is, like, something he will remember
Mhm,
for the rest of his life, and how
exactly.
cool is that? To be able to be like, in 40 years, when he's
Mhm,
57 years old, be like, "Yeah, kids, back in my day,
right?
I struck out one of probably the greatest
Mhm.
baseball player of all time, Aaron Judge." Like, that is sick.
And there are videos of it.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
so
That's
cool to
awesome.
see it happen. I
That's
think
awesome.
that's, like, the one thing I do like about the WBC is that you have, teams who are literally built with players who are like plumbers and electricians and
Yeah,
teachers professionally holding their own against teams that are just built of all these constructed of all these
yeah.
superstars
Like the Czech team.
like the Czech team. Oh, the poor Czech team. They're already out of the competition, but they tried. They really
But,
tried.
did you see there was a video earlier in the week? It was, like, the Czech team and the what was it? The
Hmm.
Australian team, and the Czech batter was walking up and tried to, like, shake the hand of the Australian catcher, and he, like, kind of,
Oh,
which is weird because and listen, I am one, like, I don't want players out there hugging and fist bumping, like, but also this is the nature of this tournament is like, yes, it's competitive, but it's not really.
but
It's
like
like,
there's I want there to be a little bit of a kumbaya at
yeah, which
least.
I mean,
Hmm.
the catcher kind of later on was like, "Oh, it's just how I am," but we have great respect for each other. But I don't know, that kind of, like, got a lot of traction on social media this week. Um, but yeah, there was also outside of the WBC, which we'll talk about a little bit more later on in the episode, but there was a big headline this
There
week
was a
that came out
massive
of MLB.
mistake. Jerkson Profar has tested positive once again for exogenous testosterone. So he this time instead of being suspended for the 80 games that he was suspended in the 25 season, he's now being suspended for the entirety of 2026. Um, I think he really should have just manned up, faced his teammates, apologized to them. He was going to play the WBC with
Mhm.
the Netherlands. He just ran away when the news broke out, didn't say anything to his teammates, just
Yeah,
flew out of there. So
yeah.
I think there have been a lot of feelings about this
Mhm.
online.
Mhm.
As much
Well,
to say.
and not to mention, he's now one more suspension or one more positive test away from being technically banned
Right.
permanently. Um, that happened to, oddly enough, of course, the Mets closer. Got banned from Major League Baseball permanently in 2016, I remember, for his third positive test. Ultimately, a couple years later, they reversed it, and I mean, he never had a career again, but, like, he wasn't banned for life. But this is just also, it's a weird spot for baseball, right? Because you have,
Mm,
routine steroid and performance enhancing drug testing.
mhm,
Every single player knows it.
right,
The way the system works is like you literally can have somebody knock on your door at
mm,
7 a.m. in the morning
right,
on any of the 365 days a year.
right, and they just ask you for a pee sample right
Yep.
then and there.
Right then and there. And so knowing that happens, and it happens with frequency.
Right.
Like there are stories about, I forget who it was, a few years ago, but had like a monster game, and he tweeted the next morning that MLB sent someone to his door early in the morning to collect the sample, like to see if
Right,
this was as a
he was
result.
testing,
Yeah,
was po
which
it was
is which is both funny and also like,
yeah, but no, what's really disappointing about the Jerks on Pro Bar case is that at the beginning of the offseason, the Braves, I think their beat reporter even asked him, "Are you going to do this again?" And he told her to her face, "No."
Mhm.
All on camera, and then here he is testing positive once again.
In a way, there's just a level of, I mean, clearly arrogance
Yeah,
and a lack of any type of strategic foresight on his part that he's going to be tested. I would assume, every player in Major League Baseball is tested 3 to 6 times a year at
right,
the bare minimum.
right.
And so just very disappointing to see that. I mean, every professional sport is a team sport in the sense of you are part of a larger group, a larger cog in the machine or whatever it might be. But baseball is just especially so because of the length of the season, because of how close the players get because of that.
Right.
And, he let himself down, but he really let his teammates down.
Yeah.
Both of his WBC teammates, but the Atlanta Braves,
Yeah, they released a statement. I remember the first statement they released last year. They put they were surprised and disappointed. They released the exact same statement again this time, and it just said, "We're disappointed."
yeah,
And they have already removed him from the roster.
yeah. And I mean, the only good thing for them is they don't have to pay him.
Yeah, that is true.
But
$15 million gone just like that.
right, right. Which is also just like these players, this is generational wealth you are
Right.
pissing away,
Just
literally.
hissing away.
And it's sad to see that, but you can't save people from themselves,
Yeah.
ultimately. Yeah.
But so we also got some other news this week.
Yeah.
Jeremy Pena is out of the WBC for now. At least he's not playing these next couple weeks
Mhm.
because he
Mhm.
got a fracture in his finger. He broke a finger. I think it was like a
Yeah.
bad play
Yeah.
that didn't quite get caught correctly.
Yeah, it was just probably just like freak timing
Right.
alignment of the way the ball hit his finger. And so initially it was he's gonna miss the first round of the World
Yeah.
Baseball Classic. I didn't like seeing that because in my mind, like, yes, this is important to the players and all the
Mhm.
things, but if you have even the slightest of small
Right.
fractures, you should be out.
Right.
Like, there should be no first round playing the second round. If I were the Astros, I'd be like, get the hell back to Florida and we're going to figure this
I
out.
think that's what they did. They
Yeah.
made him go back to Florida, get some MRIs done.
Yeah.
They put a cast on him. So I
Yeah.
think he's back in spring training wearing a cast.
Yeah. He's back in spring training. He said he's going to do as much as he can physically,
Mhm.
kind of everything he can do with one hand.
Right.
And so that will avoid kind of him completely shutting down and having to restart. I think there's hope that he'll be ready for opening day, and we're still about 3 weeks or so away from that. And so I feel hopeful
Right.
that he will be ready for opening
Right.
day. But as we learned last year with the Astros, if something can go wrong as it relates to injury, it will.
And then Carlos Correa also earlier this week got scrapped from a game because he may have pulled a muscle in his neck or something, may have slept wrong. So
Yeah.
how about that for that infield surplus now, huh?
Paredes is looking
Paredes,
real valuable.
because I think listening to Chandler Rome talk about it, it sounds like
Yeah.
it's more about managing egos and making sure everyone gets the playtime that they need and want versus there actually being a genuine surplus. But knowing with our injury history, I'd
Yeah.
rather have us be in surplus than going, oh shit, we don't have enough people playing.
And this is not to say that Dana has not tried to
Right.
trade Paredes this offseason, because he has,
And
but
I don't, again, this is something we talked about previously.
Yeah.
We don't like that.
no. But he's looking real smart right now
Right.
for holding on to him and or failing to execute a
Right.
trade that he felt was fair. And I think of, the egos at play here. Truthfully, I think the man who probably has the least ego of it all is Paredes.
Right.
Just kind of the way I've read him over the last year in Houston, seems like a very humble guy, super down to earth. And so I think he's just going to be happy to have playing time. I think if I am Dana Brown and Joe Espada, I'm gonna try at least Jordan in left field.
Right.
He wants it.
He wants it.
And DH Paredes where you
Right.
can. I think, to me, all of this hype around will he get playing time is just that, is hype.
Yeah.
Because I think he's gonna have no problem finding playing time, especially if Christian Walker continues to
Decline.
be a little underwhelming. I saw, was it in today's game where he hit into a bases loaded double play and then inning? I'm like,
Of
man,
course he did.
mid-season form
Already, and let's go. Bring on August. We're already there.
So we will see, but
Yeah.
very,
Mhm.
very discouraging to see some of these
Mhm.
injuries kind of pop up in the World Baseball Classic. Thankfully, we haven't seen anything yet to the level of an Edwin Diaz or a Jose Altuve,
Mhm.
where it's, in Edwin's case, a season-ending injury, or in Altuve's case, it's a several months,
Mhm.
season-altering injury. And so I'm hopeful all of these guys get through the season, get through WBC relatively injury-free and are ready to go for opening day.
Right.
Yeah. I will say, since I did mention Edwin Diaz,
Right.
last night Puerto Rico played.
Mhm. They did play.
Edwin Diaz came out to close out the game.
And how are you feeling, Tom?
So obviously him leaving to go to LA
Mhm.
as a Mets fan, is not fun.
Mhm.
But to a certain level, it hadn't registered for me yet because I hadn't seen him play in a game.
Mhm.
I don't think it's an understatement to say Edwin Diaz is probably one of my top 3 players to watch in a game.
Mhm.
Just his energy,
The trumpets.
the trumpets, he's electric in every sense, and he's erratic in every sense of the
Right.
word. Like, half the fun with Edwin is he's going to put 2 men on just for fun,
Mhm.
and then he's going to strike out the side. He's the type of guy who, like, the theatrics of it all,
Mhm.
that's his thing. And so from just a pure baseball standpoint, I love watching him, and I will still love watching him even though he's not on my team anymore. The only difference is I'm probably going to be rooting against him to an extent, but something about last night, seeing him in the Puerto Rico jersey, and just, Edwin Diaz did Edwin Diaz things, closed out the game. And it was just knowing that I won't experience that again as a Mets fan, just like did something to me. I started to spiral a little bit. And I am now imagining, like, Devin Williams closing out a game. I'm like, man, this is gonna suck.
No, because
This is gonna
thing
suck.
with Devin Williams, he was so good with the Brewers. And then as soon as he got to the Bronx, he just fell apart. So maybe just going across town, he may be what y'all need. Maybe he just
It
needs
could be.
beats.
Maybe he's also just a National League guy.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe.
But there was also, looking at WBC.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize, and maybe it wasn't like widely advertised or whatever, but
No,
I didn't realize that this was a qualifier for the 2028 LA Olympics.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did see that news as well. I think the winner gets a seat. And the Olympics, the US also automatically gets a seat for being the host country.
Yeah.
And then I think there are a couple other international competitions that will fill out the rest of the 4 other seats, because I think there are only going to be 6 teams playing. Bryce Harper had something interesting to say.
Yeah. What did he say? He's just such
He was just saying, like, the World Baseball Classic is great, but it's not the Olympics. Because no one cares about the WBC, because everyone watches the Olympics.
Then why is he there?
I think he's just washed. I think he's old. I think he's washed. And I think he's just looking for any excuse to.
I will say, though, every once in a while, the algorithm feeds us Yankees Twitter, and they were loving and living for the Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge bromance that's apparently happening in the WBC.
That size difference, though, in the pictures, that was crazy. Because I actually had no idea Aaron Judge was that big.
Well,
So seeing Bryce Harper look like a kid
correct.
next to
Correct.
him.
Then normally, there have been so many pictures over the years,
Mhm.
especially when Jose Altuve played second base of
Yes.
Judge and Jose Altuve.
Yes.
But Judge is on the taller side. Jose
He's
Altuve
like
is a short
5'6",
guy.
like
I think that's even generous, right?
Yeah.
5'6". And so Bryce Harper, when I think about Bryce Harper, I think of this
Me
big
too.
guy,
Me too. Yeah.
a very muscular guy, but also a tall guy. Man, those pictures are really funny.
No, it's so funny just
Yeah.
how he looks right next to Aaron Judge. But I mean, you know how we feel right now. It feels a little weird
Yeah.
talking about the Olympics with everything going on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know baseball is one of those sports that, depending on the host country, sometimes they do it like how they did it in 2021 Tokyo,
Right.
and how they're going to do it again in LA, but sometimes they don't have it. Like in Paris
Yeah. And
years ago.
I'm very curious to see how logistically they're going to pull it off because, of
Right.
course, the Olympics happen in the middle of baseball season.
Right.
And so I'm curious, is this going to be kind of a replacement for the All-Star game during the All-Star break? Or
I
it,
don't know.
I don't know.
It would be interesting because it would be nice to still have the All-Stars,
Mhm.
but instead of doing an All-Star break, it is the Olympics because I would assume that they're going to be playing it in Dodger Stadium.
They are.
So
They are.
that essentially
Yeah.
means Dodger Stadium is not usable
Right.
for the MLB.
So either it's going to be sort of All-Star break, or they're just going to ensure that when they make the schedule, the Dodgers are away.
Yeah.
But in any event, I think it's going to be cool, especially if you get some big names to play. But it'll be great to have baseball back in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's that time of the week.
Yes, Robyn, it is that time of the week for our wild pitch of the week. And why don't you lead us off?
Alrighty. So y'all heard me say this on the first episode, and y'all will hear me again, I think on episode 12, where I say free berry bonds, hashtag the remix.
Yes.
Because honestly, let the people caught taking PEDs play. Because they clearly still all suck.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Max Kepler last time. Sucked. Jerickson Provar, he kind of sucks, let's be real. Another Phillies player this past week, Johan Rojas, also got caught testing positive for PEDs. He bats an average of 224, like, lols. Like, these players who are testing positive for PEDs in this era are not they're not your Bryce Harpers even.
Right.
They're not your top players. Like, they're still not good. So I think this just speaks to the level of just how good Barry Bonds is and how we need to really put some respect back on his name, because it's just, these players suck. Let's just let them keep playing. Like, no need to suspend them for half the season because they have not improved, whether being caught positive taking testosterone or not.
Like, they took the drugs and the drugs are not working.
No, because all it does is build muscle, right? You're not going to see the ball any better.
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
show me the drug that improves your vision, because I would like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, no, they still don't know how to hit the ball.
Yeah.
They're still not fielding the way they should be fielding.
Agreed.
Like, what's it doing? That's my hot take. Free Bear Bonds Part 2.
Totally valid, and I'm more and more getting on the just let it go train as it relates to Barry Bonds, and also recognizing that performance enhancing drugs are only going to get you so far. And we talk all the time about the Astros scandal and how they didn't need to cheat, but they did. And I firmly believe that they would have won the World Series regardless of that. And there's no indication that was any part of the World Series.
They were literally the best team of that whole era.
Correct. Now, I also look at Alex Rodriguez, arguably one of the best players of the last, 25 to 50 years. When I look at why he took PEDs, it was all ego. And this has nothing to do with the fact that A-Rod was in the Oval Office with Trump yesterday.
I mean, how you feel about A-Rod. We don't like him.
But also Mets fans, we almost had A-Rod and J-Lo as our owners. When the Wilpons were selling, the leading bids were from a joint group headed up by A-Rod and J-Lo when they were still together at the time. Alex Rodriguez could have been our owner, and it could have been this bad because, number one, I don't think they were going to stay together just because of the Mets.
Right. No.
Also, J-Lo, Yankees fan. A-Rod, Yankees legend, owning the Mets.
No, I feel like that felt like that was a psyop.
but,
That was a psyop.
but also we could have had this guy and listen, Steve Cohen is not, I wouldn't say he's the most woke man in the world. He's a big like friend and supporter of Chris Christie. Although Chris Christie is sort of
Yuck.
an anti-Trumper. But
Yes, because he tried to kiss up to Trump, and that didn't really pan out for him.
well, Trump almost killed him, if you remember, with COVID.
That is also
Chris
true.
Christie was in ICU, nearly dead because Trump
He's
gave COVID.
hurricane.
Oh, R.I.P.
What happened to him?
R.I.P. Herman. My God.
My goodness.
See, when you, okay, sidebar outside of baseball, so much has happened in politics in the last 10 years that, like, you mentioned how Herman Cain died from COVID at a Trump rally,
Yeah.
allegedly, but I forgot that happened. And like,
Yes.
things are just happening so quickly in this political environment that we totally forget about them because just the news cycle is so
Right.
vicious over and there's something new every day.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, all that to say, grateful for Steve Cohen, grateful A-Rod is not in Mets ownership, but also I think we need to really look at the late 90s, early 2000s PEDs era in a different light.
Yeah, just let
That's
it
my take.
go. Like, literally let it go.
I agree. All right, Robyn, my hot take of the week,
Mhm.
and I have thought about this long and hard.
Mhm.
I do think that the Major League Baseball season should be shortened. And I don't mean take it from 162 to 130.
Mhm.
But over the years, there's been this, creep of the season of starting earlier and earlier and earlier. It used to start in April, usually like end of the first week, early second week of April. Now it starts the last week of March. And here's the problem. You're having guys play baseball in 30 to 40-degree weather in Minneapolis, which doesn't have a dome, New York, Philly, DC, Boston, Chicago, cold weather cities
Right.
still this time of year.
Right.
The Northeast specifically has had a very harsh winter.
Yes.
And so here's what that does. Number one, lots of games get canceled, delayed, shifted to double headers later in the season, schedule adjustments where I remember this happened to the Mets due to a canceled game. They had to go, they were in LA, they had to fly to St. Louis for one game, and then they had to fly up to Seattle or something along those lines, and like just very taxing on the player. So beginning of the season hiccups, that would help alleviate it to an extent because of weather, because by, early to mid-April, things are starting to turn a little bit more. Number two, we're just seeing so many more injuries because of the pace of game, the pitch clock specifically for pitchers, that I think a shortened season, even if it was brought down by 12 games,
Right.
a shortened season would help pitchers, it would help hitters, it would just, now that we have this expanded playoffs format, it would just kind of help the longevity of the season so that, guys could be healthy and ready to go for what you are hoping would be a deep run in October. And so I think, as eager as we are to really kick off baseball season, I think for the fun of the game and for the longevity of players and their careers, that we should look at shortening the season just by a couple of weeks at the most to ensure that we have less disruptions throughout the season.
No, I agree with that. I think it's crazy, really, how I think like the Northeast is still getting snow while it's like 80 degrees here.
Yeah, and we have a roof.
And we have a roof on top of that.
And shitty AC, so.
So anything for me, I think there's something to agree on. Anything to really just extend the longevity of the game and these players' career.
Because I think we're what, 4-5 years into the implementation of the pitch clock. And I think there will probably be a study in 10-20 years that will show like how detrimental the pitch clock was to pitchers.
Yeah.
And
all those Tommy Johns.
All the time, like the amount of Tommy John surgeries that have happened in the last few years. I mean, really impacting players' careers long term. So not that 12 less games is going to solve all of the world's problems, but that's 2 starts a season. That's a significant innings amount. That's, up to possibly 20 innings less that you'll be pitching. And so, I don't know, just an idea, just to help sustain the game in the way that we want it to sustain.
It would definitely be interesting to see because I know that we are also going to be hitting the expansion era soon and how
Yes.
they've been talking
Yes.
about adding some more teams, potentially bringing back the Expos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nashville has been thrown out as a city, so
Yep.
it would definitely be interesting
Yeah.
to see if they will adjust the calendar in any way to
Absolutely.
ensure that these additional teams will get playing time.
Side note,
Mhm.
not an expansion team, but, hoping that this will eventually happen for real, for real.
Mhm.
I cannot wait to watch baseball in Las Vegas. I cannot wait. I'm a Vegas guy.
Yes.
I've taken the year off to kind of protest just the corporate greed of it all.
Yes.
But I love Vegas. I love everything about Vegas.
I feel like you're one of the
And
very few people who will say that,
I
though.
know, I know. And we still need a trip together to Vegas.
I still actually have not gone to Vegas
Okay,
outside of,
well,
like, landing there, as a layover.
okay, well, no. I mean, you could play slots in the airport, but
Yeah, I've seen the slots in the airport.
yes, Robyn, I cannot wait until there's another reason to go there to watch my team play baseball, or hell, I'll go and watch the A's and the Rockies. I just want, like, the fact that I will be able to wake up in the morning, go by the pool, have a drink, read a book, go down to the tables, play some blackjack, play some roulette,
Mhm.
and then go across the street and watch a baseball game? Are you kidding me? That is going to be so exciting. And
Mhm.
there are people in Vegas who still don't think this is going to happen.
Right.
Just a lot of issues with not so much the land, but just the funding behind the A's and the
Yeah,
owner of the
The A's
A's.
ownership is very questionable, to
Yeah.
say the least.
Yeah. So I really do hope,
Mhm.
I mean, if things are looking a little hazy, that Manfred will step in and just do what he did with the Dodgers and force a sale. But I am so excited. I think it's supposed to be, is it 2028, 2029,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
when that stadium opens, and whew,
I mean, they've dug ground. They've readied the
they
people
have.
shoveling
Well,
every
they
day.
they imploded the hotel and casino that was there, and they flattened it very quickly, and so it's been ready.
Mhm.
And yeah, they've started to do some, like, meaningful foundation work.
I wonder how many drunken, Vegas
Boy,
weddings will happen after those games now.
probably quite a few, probably quite a few, for better or for worse. But I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to have concluded another episode of Bad Pitch Energy, as always.
Mhm.
Fun conversation. I'm really excited that, on our next episode, we'll be talking about season preview, making our predictions.
We are
And
we
so
are,
we'll be
drafting
drafting next
space
weekend. Yes.
fantasy baseball
Yes.
team. I'm very excited. I know some of them are listening.
Yes. Some
So
of
hi,
our
Adele. Hi, Dana. Hi, Crystal.
yeah. Hi,
Courtney.
Hi, Courtney, in 2 months when you listen to this episode, because she told me the other day that she's 7 episodes behind.
Oh,
So
no, girl.
yeah,
Catch up.
we gotta get on that. She hates podcasts, but
I
she should make an exception for us.
I know.
I know.
Maybe
Anyway,
maybe having her come on will
possibly,
encourage her to
possibly.
listen.
But on that note, Robyn,
Mhm.
thank you, and thank you to the people for listening to another episode of Bad Pitch Energy.
We'll catch y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.